teachers to achieve these objectives. We are all too mindful that the role of teachers goes way beyond just imparting knowledge. They are responsible for the total development of young lives under their charge, ensuring that they grow up with sound values, strong social emotional skills, and 21st century competencies needed to thrive in the future. Even in the area of academic learning, gone are the days when teachers see themselves narrowly as just helping students to acquire knowledge. They are now designers of learning experiences and facilitators of learning, so that what students learn is enduring and engaging and applicable in the real world. In Singapore, we have come up with a professional development roadmap to equip all our teachers with the ability to implement this desired curriculum and policy changes. This roadmap focuses on 6 areas of practice: assessment literacy, inquiry-based learning, differentiated instruction, support for students with special educational needs, e-pedagogy, and character and citizenship for students with special educational needs. Within each e-pedagogy, courses that design citizenship education. Every teacher can self-each area of practice, courses that design a different level of mastery. And then sign up for every teacher can self-evaluate their own level of proficiency in each area, and then sign up for courses that can bring them to the next level of mastery. We want our teachers to take ownership of their professional development and chart their own professional growth. Specific to the strengthening of teachers' capability to teach with technology, apart from courses on e-pedagogy, there are also courses on data literacy and cyber wellness education. This will help them to become more skillful in analyzing and interpreting assessment data to inform their interventions and in ensuring student safety and well-being in the digital space. The COVID disruption these past years have severely tested the resilience and adaptability of schools and educators around the world. Despite this testing time, many educators have found creative ways to overcome local challenges to help students continue with learning and support their mental and emotional well-being. Many of them are emerging from this crisis with a stronger ability to harness technology in education and a newfound confidence in overcoming the odds. Many of our students are also emerging from the crisis with stronger ability to learn on their own and a keener appreciation of the value of schooling. As an education system, if we are able to help them cement these gains and not lose them when COVID crisis is finally over, we will emerge from this pandemic stronger than before. I've come to the end of my sharing. Thank you for your attention and patience. More importantly, I want to thank you for standing by your students through these difficult times and doing your best to help them ride this pandemic with courage and hope. I wish you an enriching forum ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sung, for sharing the inspiring keynote message. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to the section of thematic panel presentation from SEAMEO high officials and teacher task force member countries. For the first session, there will be 3 moderators to kindly moderate the presentation groups. Please allow me to introduce our first honor moderator from Group A, Teachers ICT, Competency During Emergency. Lesson from the Pandemic. The moderator will be Dr. Wang Li Bing, Senior Program Specialist in Higher Education, Chief of Section for Educational Innovations and Skills Development at UNESCO Thailand. Dr. Wang, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This is Li Bing Wang from UNESCO Bangkok. Dear high officials of SEAMEO, dear distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. And I'm so happy to have the opportunity to chair this session. In the next 25 minutes, we are going to have 4 speakers talking about teachers' ICT competencies during emergency lessons learned from the pandemic. And each speaker will be given 3 to 5 minutes to make your presentation. So the time is very limited, but we are looking forward to a very inspiring presentations from all of you. Our first speaker is Dr. Dae Kim Bori, Deputy Director General of Policy and Planning from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports from Cambodia. Dr. Dae, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I hope that everyone can see my screen sharing. Very good morning from Cambodia. Dr. Carlos Vargas Tames, Teacher Task Force, Head of Secretariat, UNESCO Headquarters. Mr. Tao Zhang, Director, UNESCO IITE. Dr. Excel Valenzuela, SEAMEO Secretariat Director. SEAMEO High Official, Honorable Speakers, distinguished delegate, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to begin with my sincere thanks and gratitude to SEAMEO Secretariat, UNESCO Institute for Information Technology in Education, International Task Force on Teacher for Education 2030, and other involved stakeholders for making this important virtual high-level forum on the teacher competency in the digital revolution, bridging the unbridged happen. The theme, teachers' ICT competency during emergency, lesson from the pandemic, comes at the right time as the world has been facing and fighting the global pandemic, COVID-19. So I will be sharing with you the four important points: the Education Ministry ICT policy, the digital transformation and learning continuity during pandemic, the technology enhanced teaching learning innovation during pandemic, and key policy direction on teacher competency in the digital revolution. So the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport of the Kingdom of Cambodia recognize that the country's competitive advantage is driven by our human resource capacity in the 21st century skill, including the information and communication technology competency. So to create ICT enhanced teaching, learning, innovation, and to invest in teacher professional development in this area of ICT, the policy and strategy for ICT in education has been developed and become a sector-wide intervention. The vision of the policy to ensure that ICT is systematically used to increase efficiency, providing sufficient information for leadership decision to be based on evidence and where enhanced teaching and learning for all students to produce graduates who are innovative, creative, and ethical. So we set out 5 strategies for this policy, including infrastructure, connectivity, and equipment. Number 2 is ICT support for teaching and learning. And number 3 is human resource development in ICT. Number 4, ICT governance and management. And number 5, finance for ICT in education. As you can see in our ICT curriculum and detail, this is the curriculum, and following by the textbooks for the ICT improvement in education. So since the beginning, in responding to the global challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic, Cambodia has taken a whole government approach, both health and non-health sector measures in close collaboration with national and international development partners to combat COVID-19. So to prevent the learning loss and to ensure continuity in education, the Ministry of Education issued instruction introducing online learning at all levels and on all subjects via a number of e-learning platforms, as you can see in the chart of our ICT infrastructure. The student can have access to digital content from the Ministry official website, Facebook, YouTube, and other digital platforms. The digital content has been developed and available on many other digital platforms. Thousands of digital content, and you see in the chart, from primary to lower secondary and to upper secondary. These are all the digital content that we've been developed so far and introduced to all students at all levels, with free of charge and also with contribution from private institutions and national and international development partners. So the intervention are also provided for vulnerable students, including the
Kalau saya menentukan hanya sebagai Tapi kenapa Bu Tere makin luas? Maksudnya kenapa nggak di penelitiannya aja? Kenapa mundur lagi kayaknya membahas luas? Tiga unsur.
Jadi kalau saya mau memanggil satu itu jadi luas, jadi banyak sekali. Tapi kalau atas nama toko adat, misalnya toko agama ya sudah saya ambil 5. Tidak ada makan, karena kan tidak mungkin kita apakah terjadi